Hey guys, it's Kaz, non-binary artist from hell, sci-fi and monster enthusiast, trying trial and error, but trying nonetheless to make a living off of my webcomic/IP and sharing my experiences with you guys. So hopefully you don't have to make the same mistakes that I do. We're going to get straight to the point here. I'm just going to talk to you guys super casual, no script, nothing whatsoever, which unfortunately for this I feel maybe I should have scripted something so I could have covered all my bases. But I don't know. I feel like addressing something like this probably, in my experience, just deserves something a little bit more genuine. I made a video a few days ago. I don't know. Talking about how I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, or rather I wake up at 2:30 in the morning and I start my workday at 3. I go into pretty poetic detail about how important this routine is, how vital this routine is for me in order for me to be able to maintain working on my series full time. Now, for those of you who don't know, I am a webcomic creator. I do webcomics full time. It is my full-time job. I make most of my income through Patreon. I'm very, very, very lucky that I get to do so. And I've been doing that full time nonstop for about 2 years now. And the 3 o'clock in the morning thing is something that I've struggled with because I don't have a great relationship with sleep. But I would love to talk about that today because it was made very, very clear to me in that last video that I carelessly forgot to mention a few things. If I ever make a video and it seems that I'm trying to push some unhealthy habits or toxic practices or whatever, please know that 9 times out of 10, I'm not laughing because it's funny or because I'm not taking it seriously. I laugh when I'm nervous, all right? 9 times out of 10, if I make a video that sounds like I'm trying to get you guys to do something that would be unhealthy, that would be bad practice, that would just not be good for you in the long run, please understand that it's probably just because I forgot to be very clear and cover my bases. It's not an excuse. And in fact, now that I'm aware that this is something that I did not include in my last video, I'm going to try to be more mindful moving forward so that when I do tell you guys, hey, here are some of the tips and tricks that I do, I want to make sure that I'm not establishing bad routines, that I am not encouraging people to do things that would be detrimental to their health, to their personal lives. I want to make sure that I'm covering every base to basically ensure, I've said sure like 8 times in the past 20 seconds, to ensure that whatever advice I give you, you take it with a grain of salt, but you also understand that I'm not trying to trap you. I'm not trying to sabotage you. It is not my intention to influence you to do something that would be negatively affecting you as a person, you as a human being. So the thing that I conveniently and carelessly and stupidly, I'll admit, forgot to mention in the entirety of that last video is that in order for me to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and to maintain that schedule on a regular basis, not every single day, there are some days where I sleep less, it's not often, and there are some days where I do sleep past 3 o'clock in the morning. There's some days that I sleep till 9. That's rare, but it still happens. I'm not perfect. My day doesn't always look like the day that I mapped out in that video. I don't do that 365 days a year. That's an idealized version of what my routine would look like if I have the energy, if I got enough sleep. So in order for me to maintain that, I do have to go to bed between 6 and 7 o'clock the night before so that I can make sure I get enough sleep in order to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I did mention in that last video that there are some nights where I want to stay up and watch a late movie, go to the movies, stay up and play games and something. And on those nights that I do decide that I'm going to be up later, I don't really give myself the wiggle room to sleep in the next morning if I know that I have a lot of work ahead of me. I didn't say that specifically. I worded it more along the lines of, hey, if I stay up late, I still have to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, no exceptions, which sounds bad. And I could have phrased that better. Obviously, or at least I had assumed obviously, I'm not waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning every single morning, even every single night that I stay up till 11 p.m. I get up at 3 o'clock in the morning most mornings. It's Saturday today. It is currently 4 o'clock. Yes, I did get up at 3. but that's because I have a shit ton of stuff that I have to do today, and I also have to finish a page. So it's not every day, but it is a lot of days. Do you want to know what time I went to bed yesterday? 7. I was out by 7. My family goes to bed early. We go to bed early, and I get up before everybody else. So I could have definitely clarified that. I should have emphasized that, in fact. It's my responsibility as somebody who wants to get on here and make YouTube videos about my creative process and my experiences to make sure that I'm not influencing people to develop habits that would be detrimental to their health. I'm going to keep saying it because of somebody who has struggled with sleep all of their life, not just sometimes, all of their life. I don't ever want to tell somebody, hey, no, it's totally fine to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning if you haven't gone to bed till 10. Like, your bedtime's 10, you should still be getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I don't care. I'm not going to be one of those motivational speakers. I'm not going to be one of those creators that gets on here and says, if you really wanted it, then it wouldn't matter. Sleep doesn't matter as much as the thing that you want. That's not true. And in fact, when I come across stuff like that, it pisses me off. Because yes, it's important to make sure sometimes you need a little bit of tough love. If you're like me and you've struggled with things where I had situations where it was difficult for me to even get out of bed. Before I had a kid, I struggled with it so bad. I didn't want to get out of bed most days, and I needed that tough love. I needed somebody to tell me, I don't care. You need to get up and you need to go do something. Probably with kid gloves at the time, because depression is something that, honestly, if somebody was rude to me, I would just sit there and wallow in it. Like, if somebody came up to me and said, hey, come on, let's go, then I'm going to get up and go. But that's a conversation for another day. And I feel like that I don't have the wherewithal or the mindset to really get into that with the respect it requires. Just know that when I say that these are the things that I do when it comes to me getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning and doing my routine, the reason I do that, 1, I am able to get a good night's sleep before. And I do this, there's so many things that I didn't cover in that video. And that's another thing, is that when I'm talking about these things, I'm only giving you a piece of the picture. I am not giving you the full context of what I do and why I do it. And I should be mindful of that moving forward. If I say, hey, I get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and it's great for me and it works out great for me and that's awesome and that's all that I say, then what assumptions are people making about me and my habits? What habits am I encouraging other people to implement into their own daily routines? Not good ones. So the full picture is that I am somebody who has struggled with insomnia all of my life. I mentioned that. Or I mentioned I struggled with sleep. I don't know if I mentioned it was insomnia specifically. This is not a new issue, and it had followed me well into adulthood. I struggled with sleep, and then I struggled with depression and getting through the day to even get things done. And then I had a kid, and then I went through this period of postpartum anxiety and depression and sleep deprivation that was so intense. I look back at that time in my life and I don't know how I survived it. I've talked about that before, but we don't have to get into real big detail about that. All that you need to know is that I realized after a certain point that not sleeping and trying to maintain taking care of a child and also maintain doing what work that I did for art back then was physically killing me. And I still to this day deal with the consequences, the long-term consequences of such severe and prolonged sleep deprivation. And I wish that I could go back in time and not do any of that. So in order for me to maintain what I do now, I promise you, it is something that I have to do with caution and with care, because I know personally what it's like to push yourself beyond your limits and the long-term ramifications of implementing unhealthy habits in your daily routine as a creative. So I could have been more clear with that. I could have been more honest with you guys. It didn't occur to me that telling you guys that I'm so productive doing one thing, but not telling you how I'm able to maintain that, I didn't realize how that could come off. And I am sorry for that. I hope that moving forward, I can be more clear about if I do something that sounds like it's costing me a lot, what I'm doing in order to maintain that in a healthy way. So let's just put it all out on the table. In order for me to get up at 2:30 in the morning, which again, it's not every day. It's a lot of days, but it's not every day. In order for me to get up at 2:30 in the morning, I have to make sure that I am in bed and out at 6 or 7 o'clock the night before. I don't always do that. I'll be honest with you. I don't have perfect early mornings every single day of the year. There are some nights where I want to stay up and watch a show with my kid. There are some nights where we stay up later because we're working on a homework project. There are some nights where I just don't feel like going to bed that early. And on those nights, I have to decide, am I going to wake up early the next day or am I going to get some sleep? And if I'm feeling really tired and I've been going all week, I'll give myself the opportunity to sleep in the next day. But if it's one of those weeks where I've just kind of been lacking and I know that I've been getting a lot of sleep, I've been doing pretty good, and I need to actually get up and get stuff done the next day, then okay, yeah, I'll still get up early in the morning, but I'm not going to make a habit of it because I'm cranky when I'm tired. I would not be a happy person if I did that every day. So I go to bed super early in order to get up super early. I also struggle with insomnia, again, like I've said, mentioned many times before. And in order for me to maintain getting a good night's rest, I had to start taking something. So I now only take magnesium, but I was taking sleep aids for a few years, and then I learned actually you're not supposed to be taking those long term. So I had to wean myself off of them. And I do take magnesium before I go to bed. I don't drink caffeine after 2 p.m. I don't care. I don't have coffee. I don't have Diet Coke. I don't have green tea after 2 p.m. Because that was one of the big things, is that I would drink coffee all day long and still feel exhausted. And then when it was time for me to go to bed, I had so much caffeine in my system that I just couldn't rest. I couldn't fall asleep. So that's one of the other things. One of the things that I'd love to do whenever I have the time to do it is I have a bedtime routine. And it's so silly because it's so simple. And I will get peppermint tea and I'll go read a book, or I'll go listen to some music, or I'll go watch a show for about 30 minutes before I go to bed. That's it. That's it. But for me, that's so sacred because it means that I've done everything that I need to do that day. And now this last 30 minutes that I have, it's just time for me to sit down, unwind and relax and get ready to go to sleep. And that's gratifying, in my personal opinion, to be able to say, I've finished what I needed to accomplish today. Now it's time for me to rest. Another thing that helps me sleep through the night, and again, I don't want to encourage people to push themselves beyond their limit. Please, if you are exhausted, if your body is tired and you just can't keep pushing, go rest. Don't do this. Don't do this. This is for me because a lot of my work is sedentary. I sit all day long to do my work. I am not a very active person, and that makes me restless at night. So if I know that I'm going to be up and moving around and restless during the night, I'll go for a walk in the evening, or I'll go clean for about an hour, 45 minutes, maybe at the end of the day. It helps me get some of that energy out of my system. It helps me unwind at the very end of the day. And these are habits that I've had to learn over the years that I struggle with sleep for the longest time. Even up until recently, I would still struggle. There was a stretch this past fall where I just wasn't able to sleep and none of my usual tricks were working. And I was at the end of my rope and my friends were like, hey, what's going on? Maybe try this thing. And so I would try something else. And I'm like, actually, no, that works. We're good now. I'm back on schedule. We're fine. So I would not want to come on here and tell people, hey, I'm a successful artist and I'm only successful because I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, because it's as crazy as it sounds. It is as out of pocket as it sounds. That's not the truth. I am not a successful artist because I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning. That doesn't really have anything to do with it. The reason I choose to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, again, is because I do my best work when I don't have interruptions. When everybody else is asleep, my dogs, my kid, my spouse, when everybody is resting and I'm the only one awake and active and doing things. That's my choice. And it's 3 o'clock in the morning specifically because I have to start getting my kid ready for school at 5. It's just a thing. There's reasons for that too. I don't want to give you the full ins and outs of my daily life, but I have another schedule that I have to work around in tandem for me to be able to do my actual work schedule. So this wasn't something that I decided, hey, I just want to sleep deprive myself in order to get my work done because work is more important than getting rest. I hope that my video didn't come off that way, but I understand that it did. And so this is me trying to reel that back in. But I also understand that even me coming on here and not really being organized or clean with it, just kind of like talking out of my ass, it's probably not the best way to address it. But I felt that given the fact that I'm probably not going to be able to make another video for the next few weeks, it's better this than not at all. So, yeah, I got in trouble. No, that's silly. I didn't get in trouble. I take responsibility for the fact that when I posted that video, I did not take into consideration how it might be perceived as, or not even that it was just perceived, but that it very much just came off as, hey, in order to be a successful and motivated artist, then you need to get up at this ridiculous time in the morning and keep yourself motivated, because there's so many like motivational videos and YouTube channels and creators out there who will tell you if you want it bad enough, it doesn't matter. Sleep doesn't matter. Rest doesn't matter. Like nobody else is going to show up at 3 o'clock in the morning. So you need to, because then you're going to beat the competition. You're going to be the cutting edge. Like get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. It doesn't matter if you didn't sleep the night before. You better be up and busting your ass. Like, no, I don't want to be that person because I don't believe in that. I don't subscribe to that. Again, let me reiterate, on nights where I stay up late, if I choose to wake up early the next morning, it's because I've been well rested the rest of the week. But a lot of nights, if I stay up late, I'll just sleep in. It's not every night, and I could have emphasized that in the previous video, but I didn't. I made it seem like I do this every single day, and that this is just my routine, whether I get enough sleep or not, which couldn't be farther from the truth. Could not be farther from the truth. I'm cranky when I'm tired. I get so emotional, and when I'm emotional, I can't focus on my work. I get irritated, I am short-tempered, and so I wouldn't be able to produce the amount of work that I do every single week if I was emotionally just like on edge all of the time. I wouldn't be able to update my comics if I was only getting 4 to 6 hours of sleep every single night, less than that. I wouldn't be able to do any of that. And the fact that I got on here with my whole chest and emphasize that I have such a strict morning routine every single day and sleep isn't that important, like that's so silly of me, and it's so deeply irresponsible of me. So if you get on here and you're listening to a YouTube account and they're telling you like, oh, if you want it enough, like it doesn't matter what it'll cost you, just keep going, push yourself past your limits. Don't do that. Don't do that, because here's the thing. At the end of the day, a lot of the physical limitations that I have due to chronic issues that I developed over the years from pushing myself too hard. I went to school full-time, I had a full-time job, and I was also trying to create on the side of that. I pushed myself through so many all-nighters, so many sleepless nights, so many double shifts. I did that for years and years and years. And then when I stopped doing that and started doing art full-time, I would just not sleep at night. And then I would struggle to get anything done during the day, and I would push myself. This past year, I started developing this pain in my elbow. I am 33 years old. I've been drawing for over 20 years, 23 years to be exact. And I have never had arm or shoulder pain or elbow pain or wrist pain, because I typically take a lot of breaks and I work out a little bit. I do stretches, I do a little bit of working out, and I take a lot of breaks. This past year, I lost a bit of muscle mass, and I didn't realize it until I started feeling that elbow pain. And it hit me that I was pushing myself. I was really pushing myself to maintain my updating schedule, to keep putting the work out, to keep with the same system that I had that was straining my arm, assuming that I still had the strength to do so. And I had lost some of that strength in my arm. And I was devastated when I realized that's what it was. And you know what I did when I realized that I had all of that pain, but I still had all these deadlines to meet? I didn't keep pushing myself. I didn't keep forcing myself. I took a step back and I said, okay, if I work through this and I'm working 10 to 16 hours a day doing comic stuff every single day of the week, which is also incredibly unhealthy. If I'm doing that and my arm is hurting now and I maintain that, do I think it's going to get better? Do I think that I'm going to build that muscle doing that? Or am I just going to sprain the injury? Am I going to make it worse? So I had to take a step back and think, okay, well, I need to start working on this less. I need to take more breaks. I need to be exercising, but not injuring myself. So what I did was I was working in smaller increments. I was taking more breaks. I noticed very quickly that the pain wasn't as bad as it was before. In fact, I started to feel it less and less. I was doing stretches. I was not trying to push myself past my limit, because that was my limit. I was already there. The moment I felt that pain, I knew that I reached my limit. And I either needed to stop entirely or work backwards. I tested it. I started working backwards. The pain gradually started going away. But if it had gotten worse, I was going to have a conversation with myself and my patrons that sounded something like, hey guys, maybe hiatus until I figure this out. Because if I make this work to the point that I cannot come back from it, that this injury is irreparable, I don't know what I'm going to do. And the same goes with sleep. If you push yourself past the point of no return when it comes to sleep deprivation, that's damage that you can't undo to your mind, to your emotional well-being, to your body. So please, 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 don't let someone like me stupidly come on here and influence you that you should not be getting the minimum required amount of sleep every single night just because you want to finish a project. Nothing is worth killing yourself over. Not a damn thing. I don't care how much you like it. I don't care how much you love doing it. You need to go to sleep. You need to get some rest. So that's it. Also, be eating stuff. Don't skip breakfast. Stop surviving off of coffee because you get so focused in your work. Set snacks out on your table. Get yourself some protein first thing in the morning. I don't care. Make yourself night before. Boil some eggs. There you go. You got some protein first thing in the morning. Overnight oats. Get yourself some food. Get yourself some water. Do not survive off of caffeine and tea and sweet drinks. That's not going to sustain you while you're working throughout the day. You need food. You need supplements. You need nutrition. I feel like I'm talking to my 7-year-old. But please, it's so easy to get lost and consumed in your projects and your work. Like, I know this firsthand, and I could be better about emphasizing, like, well, these are the things that I have to do to maintain. Like, these are the real world, real life situations, like habits and things that I've developed over the past few years to help me maintain these schedules and these routines. I wouldn't be able to do this if I wasn't getting any sleep. And again, highly irresponsible of me to imply otherwise. I hope that you all enjoy your holiday break, whatever you celebrate, whatever you're working on. I hope that you get a lot done. If you don't feel like working on anything over the break, then don't. Go watch some movies, play some video games, hang out with your family, your loved ones, your friends, whatever it is, your dogs. I appreciate each and every one of you. If you want to follow my day-to-day and see what I'm up to, which I could be better about posting, you can follow me on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Blue Sky, all under Cut as Hell, spelled the same way as my YouTube channel. If you want to support my comics and you are over the age of 18, because half of what I do is very adult and material, go check out my Patreon. There's a lot of cool stuff there. It is the Fast Pass access for Haunting Dagger episodes, and it also has Patreon exclusive adult comics. Again, don't say I didn't warn you. It is explicit. But if you don't want to have to pay for anything and you want to follow up on what sort of things I'm working on right now, you can read my webcomics for free on Webtoon Canvas. Look up Cut as Hell, and you'll see all the webcomics that I am currently doing or have ever done. There's 2 that have my heart. There's Haunting Dagger, which currently updates once every week. And then there is Lucky, which is an LGBT sci-fi drama that is on hiatus, but I am working and hoping and praying that I'll be able to bring it back to you guys this year. Thank you guys so much for your patience. Please know that any creator that you follow is incredibly human and incredibly flawed. And if you see somebody who's painting you, if you see somebody who's painting you a pretty picture and it looks too good to be true, just trust that it either took a lot of trial and error for them to get to where they are now, or they're not showing you the whole picture. So I've learned my lesson, or at least I hope so. I promise that with every video moving forward, I will strive to improve, telling y'all what's going on and not and not encourage bad habits and unhealthy behaviors. All right. I love you all so much. Goodbye.